Does someone that you know owe you money? If it's $1, $5, $50, $100, or $1,000, how do you handle that? Especially when they've been owing you for quite a while, maybe even several months to a year or more. I'm not talking about companies and corporations, businesses. I'm talking about family, friends, associates, people that reached out to you for help at some point in their lives, and out of the goodness and kindness of your own heart, you extended your hand to help them. And to your dismay, you found that they were not as generous giving the money back that you loaned them. I'm not talking about gifts. I'm talking about loans. By word of mouth, when the person tells you that I'm going to give it back to you this coming Friday, in 2 weeks, when I get my paycheck, when my husband pays me, or whatever the case is, they still have not made good on the loan. So what do? Let me give you uh, a short story. When I was a young deacon in the church, there was an individual, a brother in the church, that would come to me from time to time and ask me for a few dollars, and he would say that he'd pay me back on a particular date. He was slow doing it, and I would give him the money and he would pay me back eventually. Now, mind you, at the time I had 3, 4, 5 children in the church, and he didn't have any children to my knowledge. So he was just someone between jobs and this type of thing. So I never will forget, there was one point that he borrowed $3. The money was never important to me because it's no money at all. $3, that's very little money. But the principle has always been important to me. The fact that you borrowed money from me, period, irrespective of how much it is the principle. You borrow anything from someone, you owe it to them to pay them back, especially when you say you're going to pay them back. And if you can't pay them back, you should let them know, contact them, and say, I'm having a problem. I won't be able to pay you when I said I could pay you. I'll pay you on a different date. Or you just simply never borrow money that you can't pay back. That's my rule. But in this particular instance, this gentleman that borrowed the $3 from me, he told me that on a specific date that he would give me the money back. Well, that date came and it went. He began to avoid me. When he see me, he go the other way. Now, we're in the same church, brotherhood. So it turned out to be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and so on. And he didn't pay me. Just so happened, one day I'm at church. Another brother came up to me about a month or two later, and he said, "Did you hear what happened to brother so and so?" And I said, "No." And he said, "He died. I forget what was the cause of his death, but he did die." And this feeling came through me. The thought of him owing me money was not important. The fact that he died, I was more concerned about that and how his family was doing and so forth. But I learned a great lesson from that experience. Sometimes we have to just simply let things go and forget about it. Wash our hands of the debt. Free the person from the debt. There are certain passages in the scripture that talks about forgiving people's debts as well. Please look that up in your leisure. But that is how I model my practices concerning money this very day. Is if someone owes me money, and I try my best not to loan people substantial amounts of money, because if I know beforehand what their circumstances are, I know they're not going to pay it back anyway, or be able to pay it back. So I just write it off. And there have been people that have owed me money in recent years, and they come around and they kind of bow their head in shame and be of a contrite spirit, and they tell me, I didn't forget about you. And I say, stop. I said, look at me. I said, what you owed me, you don't owe me any longer. I said, it's over. I'm wiping it clean. So don't feel obligated anymore, because I have released you from your debt with me, and it's over. It's that simple. So I'm telling you all that are listening to me right now, if someone has been owing you money for years, especially if it's been years, hopefully those years hasn't affected you in such a way where you can't function in your life and you haven't been able to live or survive after that substantial amount of time has passed. Just write it off. You call them on the phone if it's a relative or a friend and say, I just wanted to talk to you briefly about the money that you owe me. I just want to let you know that I have released you from that debt. You don't owe me anymore. Now, with that said, in the future, you be very careful not to loan anyone any money anymore, or that person that you freed from that debt. Don't loan them any money anymore. Now, I want to attach this little footnote. If someone is hungry and destitute and they need help, always extend your hand to help that individual or that family if it's within your means to do so. But just generally speaking, if someone is working, gainfully employed, and they don't have financial literacy and they're not paying their bills on time and so forth, stay away from that individual in terms of loaning them money. So again, in my conclusion, if someone owes you money that they've been owing you for quite a while, all you need do is to take the pressure off of you, the anxiety, the frustration, and even anger, so that you're okay with God and yourself, is just say, I've wiped your debt clean, and God knows, and it's already been settled between you and that person. You say, you owe me nothing else, and then you govern your life accordingly from that point forward, and it'll be okay. So those are my words of encouragement for you today as it relates to loaning money and if someone owes you something. Now we're talking only about friends, family, and associates. We'll talk about corporations down the road. But until then, I'll see you next time. So long.